As per usual, it is raining, but we're in a nice tropical rainforest by the looks. The storms that shot through this plot actually didn't affect the banana plant, so I'm really happy. I thought I'd come over and there'd be carnage, all the leaves snapped down and we'd have to start again, but it's looking well. Today I'm going to pop in the polytunnel. It is an absolute jungle in there. I'm not even joking, a jungle. I came over, I thought I'd better have a little look in there, and the pruning needs to be done massively. You all know what happens. You'll blink and your greenhouse or your polytunnel is full of tomato suckers and everything in between. So let's get that done now. So I've had a little bit of a prune, and I mean a little bit. I mean, there's enough there for about 3 or 4 tomato plants. But if it was earlier in the season, you could plant these by popping them in the soil and having a later harvest. But as you know, I listened to everyone else and I sowed my tomatoes a little bit later. But lesson learned, I have got some tomatoes. I mean, it's criminal. It's the end of July, you know, and only now some tomatoes are turning red. So they're kind of coming, but they're taking their time. Let's have a look around. So the Elsa Craig are the first, and they were planted actually in February, so I have got some that are going red now, but everything else, it's just green tomatoes, green tomatoes. The Tigerellas, they won't be long now. They are absolute beauties this year. Now I've just noticed that these are Tigerella, but I've got Heinz 1350 there, so that's definitely not the case. We've got some cucumbers as well that are coming, but I'm looking, it looks like there's a bit of spidermite or something there. I'm a little bit worried. Look, if you can see one crawling on the top. So that's going to have to be looked at, because if not, you'll have to rip the whole plant out. I don't want spider mites going through the whole polytunnel, but everything else is looking okay. All the other tomato plants have been pruned back a bit now. I can't see no suckers, but oh yes, I can. The pumpkin patch now, and I mean it's a patch and a half, but inside here we've got baby blue hubbards and also other ones. Oh look, we've already got some more pumpkins coming already. I also popped over and I finally tied up the little mini pumpkins as well up the archway, so they're looking fantastic now as well. It's all these little jobs that you need to do, and if you don't, it goes too far then. But they're all planted up now, and oh, there's some courgettes down here as well, some green courgettes that definitely need to be harvested. With the rain we're having, you can't complain. It's saving you water, it's giving that moisture ready, because if we have a bit of a drought now in the next couple of weeks, at least the beds are all well watered. And yeah, it's half the battle, but what's happening is everything is growing, weeds, and it's just taking over. The whole plot is being taken over, both the one, the grapevine garden. God, I had a shock when I went down there. The actual grapevine is shooting across the fences now, all the way to the other side, and that plot desperately needs a good pruning back and some maintenance done to it. So that needs to be done. That's literally at the top of the priority list, but you know what it's like, there's always a list and always 1,000 jobs for you to do. So another thing I did was, when I filled this tank, I put in like this natural sterilizing tablets for plants, and actually has plant food in it. And my theory was I'd fill the tank, pop some of those in and leave it alone, like leave it, because I thought if it does get some sunlight and then it becomes a bit greeny algae, it means that, you know, algae's growing in it, because there's no disinfectant in it. The people I had this from assured me it was just used for water, but I didn't want to risk it anyway and spray things all over my water, you know, over the plants, and then it kills everything because all my hard work be gone. So what I did was I filled it up, put in those natural sterilizing plant food tablets. I'll pop a link in the description for those, and I'll also put a picture up on the screen now of them as well. Pop those in, and now because it's gone a little bit greeny, I was actually happy it happened, because it just means if algae's grown in there, my theory, there's no disinfectant in that water, so it's safe to be watered. So I've been watering by hand and everything else, so now that's okay. I can add my Bosch pump on, and now I can water the plants with it. Oh, sometimes, you know, steer on the side of caution, and that's what I did. I'm quite protective of the plants, so I can now use it. Now, I've shown this many times, and I mean, it makes no difference to me if I plug it or not. I absolutely think it's fantastic to use on your allotment or in your garden if you haven't got, you know, access to a water tap. So it's a Bosch pump. I think it's called Bosch 18. And all you do is put a drill battery in, which comes with it normally. Clip that in, and then click your hose pipe on, put it into a water butt or into a tank, and then you can water all day long, well, until the battery runs out. But it's fantastic. So I've been using it on my channel for about 2 years. I bought it myself. But if you need something where you're struggling to carry all those watering cans, this is the perfect thing. A little tip for you is wait. I wouldn't get it this year because it's quite expensive in the summer and the springtime. After Christmas, normally they're out on sale, and they're like normally a third of the price. So take a look at those later on in the year. So if you're new to the channel, so basically I have mine connected to my Bosch pump, which connects all to this. So this is all off grid. And I have it so that I can actually turn off the hose pipe and then set it to my irrigation as well. That goes to either side. And there's soaker pumps on both sides that slowly, waters the plot from the ground level, and all the tomatoes then have a good feed. And that's the best thing about having the Bosch pump. You just come over, I just click a battery in, and there's actually a 5, 10 and 15 timer on it. I click 15 minutes, shoot off to work, and then this carries on water for 15 minutes slowly, and then automatically turns itself off. So if you're looking for something that'll just look after itself, this is the perfect solution. Now, the good thing about having that Bosch pump is that you can also have a separate barrel, pop your plant feed in, and give your whole allotment or your garden a good feed by using the Bosch pump rather than working it all out per watering can, watering the plants. You can just pop the feed in, give it a good hose around, and everything has a good feed. Now, obviously, I'm talking about certain feeds for certain things, so don't think one feed feeds all. So if I was going to do my tomatoes, I'd put tomato feed in. If I was going to do all the flowers, I'd do a general purpose plant feed. And if I was going to do all the brassicas and all, obviously I'd do something with a higher nitrogen. So yeah, make sure, don't think like one plant food suits all, because it doesn't work that way. But today was all the flowers, so I put a general plant feed in, watered all the flower beds, so that was perfect. They've all had a good feed now, so don't think you plant everything in and then they'll just go for it. All plants need to be fed. Most compost only lasts about 2 to 3 months, so make sure that you are feeding your plants and your crops, because they will run out of food. So I think I'll pop down to the grapevine garden. Honestly, I think I'm putting too much pressure on myself. I came up from that way this morning and I was absolutely horrified. Like, that plot is within a blink of an eye, and you know what it's like. You can blink and you'll wake up and it's completely overgrown, and that's what's happening there. The grapevine has gone crazy. All this rain we had, I think it was because of the drought, and then we had this like massive shock of like weeks of rain. It shot everything up, and the weeds are up. There's nettles at the side of the plot, and plot inspections in the morning. I'm putting loads of pressure on myself, and it's stressing me out. It's really stressing me out to think that I might get a letter, I might get a letter to say that improvement needs to be made. And that's on the grapevine garden. That's crazy. Now, it'll only take a day or two just to get it back up to scratch, but there is things on there that seriously need to be done. Like, the grapevine needs to be cut back. I need to hoe and weed all through those beds and just make sure that it's at a standard by tomorrow morning. I think I can do it. I think I can get it done, but it's pressure, and you shouldn't be putting pressure on yourself to garden. And I didn't realise it was plot inspection coming up, but that's not any excuse. It's not massively overgrown, but it is. The front of the plot looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. Right, let's go down there. Let's have a little look. Let's do some jobs. I'll come back up again tomorrow, hopefully, and I'll do a bit more on there so that it can just be satisfactory. But I'm putting pressure on that I shouldn't be, and I'm sure you're all doing the same. We all see these gardens and we think, oh, I wish I had it like that, and you stop enjoying it, and that's not what you want. You should be enjoying it at your pace, at your leisure. So I'll go down and I'll do what I need to do at the front of the plot, so I'll sleep tonight. But tomorrow I'll come over again. It's my last day off, and then, yeah, hopefully we'll be okay. But yeah, let's not put any pressure on. So we're at the grapevine, there's some nettles here. God, look at this bed, ridiculous. And this is where the issues come. Now it looks worse than it is, it's just the grapevine's gone crazy. There's some bindweed that, look at this. I mean, I weeded this and harvested this literally with the garlic a few weeks ago. Look at it already, crazy. So really need to focus on the front of this plot. Warts and all. So I think I've took a good dent out of the day, and I'll come back again tomorrow and finish the rest. Right, back to the fig and olive. So now is a good time to take bay leaf cuttings. It's midsummer, perfect time. So Linda had a big bay leaf tree down the bottom of the allotment, so she gave me a pile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off most of the leaves, like so. So if someone on your allotment, or you've got one yourself, take off the tops of the leaves like so. You don't want it to be focusing on so much of the photosynthesis, and what I do then is I cut it to a node, like so. Pop it in some rooting powder if you've got some. If you haven't, put it in soil anyway, some good compost. But I happen to have some here anyway. So all you do is pop it in, and that's it. So what I'll do now is I'll go all the way around. Keep these leaves, you know, they can dry out and you can use them in cooking, casseroles, soups, things like that. Take off most of the leaves, like I said. You don't want it to be focusing on leaf growth. So there's 2 leaves left on here. You can leave them like that as well if you want, but I'll just take off the tops like so. Now I've cut it just under where there's like a little node, or where another shoot would have come from. Pop it in the rooting powder and just put them around the edge of the pot like so, in some good compost. So let's get that done. Now what you want to do is you want to use some fresh shoots that have come onto the plant. You don't want something that's quite dark in stem. You know, that one's okay-ish, but pretty much that's all you do. Take off some of the new shoots, remove the leaves as much as you can, and it's as simple as that. You know, in 6 to 8 weeks, these should be tiny little babe plants, and then it'd be great to give to your friends, family, or so you've got additional plants. Now you may not get 100% success. They're all planted up now, and all these bay leaves I'll put in a little mesh bag in the shed, and they'll be later on used for casseroles and soups and stews that I make on the plot. I'm Danny, and this is the Grapevine Garden.